Let's round second base and head to third as we find our journey heading closer to home. Hannah Bentley interviewing Matt Boyer, candidate for the On Earth Peace Board. Doug Richard is the other candidate and did not respond to our inquiry.
So welcome to Matt Boyer. We're glad for this opportunity to get to know you better as you are on the ballot for On Earth Peace Board member. What makes the position you're being considered for important in the life of the broader church?
On Earth Peace is important to the broader church because it's like doing the on-the-ground work that I think we as a church historically especially have said, like, this is important to us, that we're doing reconciliation, that we're encouraging peace in our communities, that we're bridging that gap, and that we're not being insular, I think, in that way, doing work out in the community rather than just talking about what we believe.
Yeah, no, that makes a lot of sense. Could you expand on that? Is there any specific thing that you're very interested in or passionate about within the community?
Within my community or within what OEP is doing?
I think either way.
Cool. I would say OEP first. I'm impressed by the work, trying to build peace within Palestine and connecting that to our issues. It can seem really how does that relate to us? But I appreciate the fact that OEP is building those connections. I think in my community, the list goes on and on of issues that I think are important. But broadly, I would say anti-racism, economic justice, trans rights, building basically also a society that respects life and reproduction, making sure that we have healthcare and childcare and schools, and that's not an economic burden on people, but it's something that is their right. So figuring out how to get there.
Yeah, thank you so much. What makes you better suited for this position in 2022 than you would have been, say, 5, 10, or 20 years ago?
I guess the easy answer is experience. Being out in the world and having to engage with difficult issues and try and organize and build connections with folks. I've done most of my work over the last 5 years has been union organizing in the healthcare sector, and which has been through a lot in the last couple of years. So understanding sort of resilience and solidarity and sort of what sometimes we're up against, but what we're capable of, and getting to see that more clearly, I think, especially again over the last couple of years.
And my next question is there a person or organization currently or in your past that has inspired you or helped to develop your gifts so that you have the passion and the skills to be prepared for this position?
There's a lot of work that inspires me. Well, for me, because I'm within labor, just seeing all the stuff that's going on with Starbucks and Amazon and that organizing is, for me personally, very moving to see, especially, again, what they're up against, that they're being successful. Also, the summer of 2020 and the Black Lives Matter protests and watching that, it didn't start obviously in 2020, to see how long it takes to get to a place where you reach this critical mass kind of can overflow into that level of a movement, I think is really powerful. So not just the summer of 2020, but in the 5 to 10 years prior to that, seeing sort of the anti-racist work that was going on in our community is really inspiring. And I think reminds you of the sort of small work that has to get done before it becomes very visible. That's really where the majority of the work happens, is in those smaller spaces.
Yeah, no, I completely agree with that. Especially, I've also been following the Starbucks movement right now, and it's gaining ground, and it's partially it's very much because of the small things that people are doing as well, and sometimes people discount that. So yeah, thank you for saying that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so why do you think you were nominated for this position?
I know the person that nominated me, and what she said was she felt like my work doing organizing and sort of being involved in those sort of social movement stuff was what qualified me. I don't know if that's true, but I'm excited about it. I don't know if this qualifies me, but I'm excited about it from that perspective again of if we're doing that meaningful day-to-day work, it will become more and more visible. It will grow into something we probably don't even know what it will become, and that's the exciting part.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you. And then holding a leadership position in the church is a lot of work on top of your other jobs and your personal life. So how do you envision taking care of yourself while juggling multiple responsibilities?
That's a difficult skill, one that I'm still trying, I think, to perfect. But again, just going back to the organizing background, I would say like we can work 24/7. Like there's always something to do. So it has helped. Maybe that's going back to the question of what have I learned in the last 5 years. I think there's some value that I've gotten out of saying like there's a time to really push and there's a time to like rest and recuperate. And so I think I have developed more of those skills. I think that's where the organizing comes in. Like that's where bringing people into our work beyond us is important, because if we sort of take it on and become the martyrs, like we will, be morally distressed and have to get out of the work because it's too much. But knowing that we don't have the capacity as individuals, like it has to be a collective work, and that's what creates the urgency of bringing people in too, is so that we can rely on one another and make sure that we're taking care of each other and ourselves.
What is your vision for the Church of the Brethren, and how do you long for us to become more aligned with the teachings of Jesus?
What I long for personally is that we can embrace some of our like historical identity a little bit, that we were from the beginning, I think, a little bit difficult people in society, that we were, in important ways, we were apart from society and also built around consensus and trying to reach decisions together, and then in very explicit ways holding each other accountable to that consensus. I really admire, when you look especially at the very early Church of the Brethren, I think they made some difficult decisions within their society around like collective decisions about if you enslave someone, for example, like you cannot be a member of the church. You'll be, those sort of difficult but foundational sort of like human rights decisions as a collective body, and then really holding each other accountable to that, rather than being solely a question of like, what are your beliefs? What is your faith? Like orthodoxy kind of issues, more focusing on the praxis. And that is what I appreciate about the Church of the Brethren. That's what I hope we will continue to be, is a group built around living out what we say and not just saying it.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. Are you talking about with this? Are you talking about like you don't want to like waver on issues? Are you talking about like you want to like take more stances on things? Or
yeah, I think both of those. I think it's hard because again, I think it has to be a collective process. I think we have to like make some of these decisions together. So as an individual to say like these are the positions I think we should take is sort of contrary to that. But I do think that like we need to engage in difficult conversations and move from a perspective of really looking again at the text and looking at the Bible and seeing some pretty radical stuff in the teachings of Jesus around and immediately after in Acts, when the disciples start to live that out, it's very clearly in conflict with the world. And I think that's, again, something that is inspiring to me about the Brethren, is not always trying to integrate themselves and like, okay, let's try and get along, or let's be polite as like our primary objective, but like, how are we going to transform society so that it looks like what Jesus was talking about?
That makes a lot of sense. Thank you so much.
Hannah Bentley, Gender Justice Organizing Intern with On Earth Peace, was unable to reach Doug Richard for interview. However, she did interview Matt Boyer. You can read Doug Richard's profile on brethren.org/AC2022/business/ballot.